Berjaya Corp has announced the appointments of Vivian Cheng Chifan and Said Ali Shahul Hamid as joint Group Chief Executive Officers following the departure of Abdul Jalil Abdul Rasheed. It said the appointments are effective April 1st. In a filing with the Bursa, Berjaya Corp described both as veterans of the group, with Cheng having joined in 1989, making hers a 33-year stint so far, and Said Ali having been with the conglomerate for 25 years now, since joining it in 1997. The filing said Cheng has been an executive director of Berjaya Corp since 2005, with vast corporate experience in the area of finance, especially project financing, capital funding, debt restructuring, initial public offerings, risk management, and group treasury cash management. Meanwhile, Said Ali, who has also been made executive director, was most recently CEO of Berjaya Land, a position he will now relinquish. He is said to have been responsible for the development of several major projects, including the Intercontinental and Sheraton hotels in Hanoi, as well as the Four Seasons and Ritz-Carlton projects in Kyoto and Kuala Lumpur. Succeeding him at Berjaya Land is Dato' Abdul Rahim Muhammad Zain, a chartered accountant with 35 years of experience in various fields, particularly in banking, finance, oil and gas, shipping, and food and beverage. Last Friday, the EdgeMarkets.com reported that Abdul Jalil would be stepping down to pursue his personal interests. According to Berjaya Corp's filing today, he will relinquish all positions in the group effective March 31st. PN17 upstream oil and gas service operator Sumatec Resources says it will be delisted from Bursa Malaysia's main market this coming Thursday upon its winding up. The delisting is in line with the main market listing requirements. Sumatec fell into PN17 status after its auditors expressed a disclaimer opinion for its FY17 audited financial statements. Then in August 2018, a winding up petition was filed by its bondholders, namely Charisma, Cap1 and Prima Uno, which demanded the repayment of 83.31 million ringgit from 3 collateralized loans they had extended to the company. A winding up order was granted by the High Court in October 2019, and the following month, the company's shares were suspended indefinitely after it failed to submit its quarterly report to the stock exchange operator. Last December, Sumatec announced it would not mount a legal challenge or proceedings against the said order. It said the liquidator was of the view that the group would be unable to regularize its financial position to shed its PN17 status. Sumatec last traded at 5 cents for a market value of 21 million ringgit. Sapura Energy was one of the top actively traded counters on the local bourse today, after the financially troubled firm reported its biggest losses yet in its fourth quarter FY22 results. The oil and gas service provider, which booked a staggering 6.61 billion ringgit quarterly net loss, saw its stock close 12.5% lower at 3.5 cents for a market value of 559 million ringgit. The dismal earnings prompted research houses to cut their calls and target prices on the counter. Public Invest Research lowered its rating on Sapura Energy to a trading sell, with a target price of 3 cents given heightened uncertainties on its financial standing, and said the firm's profit margin will remain volatile. Hong Leong Investment Bank Research also downgraded its call to sell, with a target price of 1 cent. It believes Sapura Energy will need more time and effort to turn around its operations into profitability, which the research house does not foresee happening anytime soon. CGS-CIMB Research kept its reduced call and lowered its target price to half a cent, saying the company's survival now hinges on creditors agreeing to its debt-to-equity swap proposal. Even so, it said a share price overhang may persist for years to come. Jeff Apex Research ceased coverage on the stock, citing the challenging earnings outlook, tightened liquidity and high debt level. The Malaysian Employers Federation, or MEF, wants Putrajaya to postpone the implementation of the proposed RM1,500 minimum wage policy that is to take effect on May 1st. MEF President Datuk Dr. Syed Hussein Syed Husman said in a statement today that many micro, small and medium enterprises are still struggling to survive the fallout of the COVID-19 pandemic. Postponing the minimum wage hike would provide a chance to recover for these enterprises, which constitute about 98% of all businesses in Malaysia. Syed Hussein also suggested that an exemption be made for companies with 20 employees and less. He added that the policy should not be implemented across the board, but rather based on the affordability of the individual business, sector and industry, as not all local companies have the same financial ability. The MEF also believes that increases in minimum wage should be done gradually, he said, noting that a sudden jump of between 25% and 36% of the minimum wage rate puts a lot of financial pressure on businesses, especially as most are only recovering from the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, made worse by the recent floods. The Health Ministry is in talks with the Election Commission, or EC, to develop a safe protocol for voters with COVID-19 to cast their ballots in the 15th General Election, or GE15. According to Bernama, Health Minister Khairi Jamaluddin said in Putrajaya today that COVID-19 will stay with us, and that barring COVID-19 positive Malaysians from voting would be tantamount to denying them a constitutional right. On the polling day of the Johor state election on March 12th, a voter was fined RM1,000 for showing up to cast their ballot despite being directed to self-isolate for COVID-19. Khairi said the MOH and EC are mulling the best measures and that public health should be the priority for GE15. He stressed that both parties need to find the most suitable timing and period of lowest risk to hold the nationwide polls. According to the report, Prime Minister Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob has said the issue of Parliament's dissolution to make way for GE15 would be discussed among the top 5 of UMNO, and that if the party is confident of winning, it would not be delayed, not even for a second.